Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. You can give credit wherever you want, but these Cleveland Indians just won't go away. They've overcome the injury to Jose Ramirez, among others, and with 15 games remaining after tonight, they still have a chance for their division and for the first or second wild card placement. I wouldn't make them the favorites, but it's not a terrible idea that it could happen. People tell me there's no reason to sneak in because they're going to get destroyed by Houston or New York. Maybe. Maybe not. Their pitching is that good. As a fan of a team, if I knew that every year my team would be a game out of the wild card chase and still have a chance to win the division with 15 games left, sign me up for that any time. The D-Man, Dennis Maniloff, is here. More Sports and Les Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Wednesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine into its 24th consecutive year, and of course seen exclusively on Cleveland.com. The D-Man is here, Dennis Maniloff. We have not spoken since Sunday's game. Your thoughts? Sunday's Cleveland Browns game.
Have your watch, Les. I think I need it for the show. So. I know. On the list of concerns regarding the Cleveland Browns, Odell wearing a watch, let alone an expensive watch,
but it was plastic.
Is way down the list. But I mean, why? What are you doing wearing a watch? But listen, overall though, colossal disappointment. Disappointment's too soft. Embarrassment.
Debacle.
It was a debacle. It was terrible all the way through. I sat here the entire offseason buying into the hype, as I usually do. In the summer, I'm buying the Browns hype. And what happens? They go out and they get handled, all right, by a better team that was better prepared, better coached, executed better. You say, what do you mean better prepared? The Browns went right down the field on them and scored the first time. Once the Titans took the punch in the mouth, which you figured they would, home, they're on the road, packed house, they defer. Obviously they thought they were going to stop the Browns in the first drive, but didn't do it. But they settle in and play good fundamental football while the other team is undisciplined, missing assignments.
18 penalties.
The penalties. Here's what's crazy about the penalties, okay? And this is not just from Sunday's game. This happens a lot. You hear people say, well, my team committed X number of penalties. If my team wouldn't have committed those penalties, we might have won. As if the penalties are some separate entity that just kind of floated in and settled on top of your team. Your team is responsible for those penalties, okay? You wouldn't be committing them if you weren't inferior.
I said yesterday, 182 yards is like a whole new offense. I mean, you're going to be happy if you have 182 rushing yards, 182 yards passing. 182 yards is a gift from the heavens.
Right, Les. And the other thing is turnovers, when they occur. Well, if my team didn't commit 5 turnovers, we might have won the game. Really? But you're responsible for those turnovers, okay? You're responsible for flags, for penalties, for undiscipline, for kicking guys and getting ejected. It was a ridiculous display. It wasn't even professional. I saw business decisions in the fourth quarter, Les. I'm not one of those people who ever say to a professional athlete the Q word.
Yeah, I use it. A lot of people have used it.
I saw some business decisions in the fourth quarter.
That's a good point.
First game, fourth quarter.
That's almost like, remember when Jamal Lewis ran all those yards and they said, well, if it wasn't for those 295 yards,
That was the Butch Davis.
Butch Davis.
Yeah, his mantra was, well, take away a couple of big runs by Jamal Lewis, and we might have won
yards.
the game.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. The Titans were waiting for this. They couldn't wait for this game. You knew Vrabel had them all jacked up because of the underdog, and they, nobody gives us a chance. And then they went out and just out-executed them, out-coached them. Freddie Kitchens looked like
deer in the headlights.
Yeah, he looked like he was in the middle of rush hour traffic. I mean, it was bad.
This portion of More Sports and Less Living brought to you by the Ohio Lottery. All right, there's your take on the Browns, and we'll talk more about that and take phone calls on that. But also, the Browns made a mistake. I don't know if you're aware of this.
Which one?
Well, how about the one where the Tennessee player goes into the stands and gets beer thrown on him, and it turns out, he gets banned, the thrower of the beer gets banned, and it turns out probably the wrong guy. The guy who owned the tickets hasn't been to a game since 2010. Here you go. His name is Eric Smith, and he says, I just got from the Browns that they're telling me that I'm banned from the stadium for throwing beer on Logan Ryan's face. I'm fairly certain I haven't been to a game since 2010. And then you say, well, how does that happen? Well, you're allowed to sell your tickets. They don't encourage it, but you're allowed to.
What's weird is he's got the little logo with the beard and everything, and the guy who had the beard, but I guess you take him at his word here that he's telling the truth. They need to sort that out, obviously, and figure out what's happening. I hate to say this, Les. I don't condone any of that kind of stuff, but I am going to say that a player on an opposing team is asking for at least a little bit of trouble if he decides to jump into the stands of that team.
He'd have to think something.
I'm not condoning what was done. I'm simply saying you're on the road, you jump into somebody else's stands.
Their team is getting beat up.
Something.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
That's all. That's all I'm saying. Right. I'm not condoning the behavior.
216-575-0403. Lots to talk about tonight with the D-Man. Dan Labbe will join us tomorrow. We're going to be next Wednesday. We're going to be out at Landerhaven broadcasting the happy hour, not happy hour, the hour before. The
pre-happy hour.
The pre-happy hour. Getting ready for the Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame. That's Wednesday, the 18th of September. All right. So what do you think happens? Bud Shaw was here last night, and he said after watching games and teams and whatever, as long as he has, he's seen teams respond to getting beat up like that on an opening game at home. He expects the Browns to come back with a vengeance tomorrow. How about you?
I'm not so sure. I mean, you mean Monday. I'm not so sure, Les. I really am. I'm not, because of the amount of mistakes that were made. It's not like you can look at one little fix here, one little fix there. This was an across-the-board meltdown.
A team effort.
It was a team effort, and so I don't know that they get it together enough to win convincingly on the road against a team that's desperate as well, starting 0-1, the Jets. I am going to pick, as part of a freelance situation for the Plain Dealer and Cleveland.com, I do NFL picks. I'm going to pick the Browns to win but not cover. I'm going to have them win by 1.
How many are they getting?
2.5.
Giving or getting?
They're giving 2.5, and
okay.
I'm having them win by 1. So I don't have them covering. It's going to be a struggle, I think, because there were just too many mistakes made. I don't know that you clean them all up in one week.
216-575-0403. This portion brought to you by the Ohio Lottery. Did you know there are over 130,000 winners on Ohio Lottery's Pick games every month? With that amount of winning, try Pick 3, Pick 4, or Pick 5 for chances to win up to $500, $5,000, and even $50,000, and that's twice a day from the Ohio Lottery. You can also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/More Sports and Les Levine, with new content posted each and every day. We got a good question coming up a little bit later. When we get back, Grady Williams is a starter. That didn't take long. We'll check out what he has to say about that and more. Dennis Maniloff with us from WTAM 1100. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on Cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then, watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
I just stayed forward, man. I never, let anything get me down. I just, practice hard every day and, competed every day. And, come, after the preseason, before the practice, I get to notice, I'm gonna probably be in the starting role. So, like I said, just trusting what I do, and great things come.
How much more complicated was it to face a team that entered with a game plan as opposed to the preseason stuff where it's kind of hit or miss?
It was just mostly things we can fix as a team, and not too really much. Not everything they did was complicated. It's like bus coverages, things like that. So just us and and as a defense, just fixing those things today and coming out tomorrow and practice.
Based on how good this team in general and the defense in particular thought it was going to be, was there? I'm going to guess that there was no way you thought that the team was going to lose like that. But how shocking was it?
They put up 43 points on us, and we lost the game. So, just like I said, we come in the film room and we fix everything that we need to fix. And this defense, it ain't no thought that we are a great defense. And like I said, one loss don't define us, and we definitely gonna come back and try to correct the mistakes that we made in the game.
First few plays, were you nervous, or did you get all that out of your system in the SEC?
Nah, man, I was. Anytime you graduate to the next level, it's your first game, so you nervous and you just playing not to mess up.
Is it weird having to rotate a little bit with Terrence?
No, if that's the thing that's gonna help us win games, I'm all for it. So me and Mitch, we bond together, and we teach each other a lot of things.
You think that'll continue?
That's up to the coaching staff.
Greedy, what was more disappointing, the fact that you guys lost, or the fact that the way you guys lost and having so many penalties?
I just say, how many penalties we had. It's a lot of them. Obviously, if you getting 18 penalties a game, you're giving giving the other team a better chance to win the game. So, they came out with the percentages of like how many penalties it come down to for a team, just to win at this percentage. So, like I said, 18 penalties is a lot, and we gotta get that down.
Well, there you have it. Greedy Williams got the start. Did you expect him to start so early?
Somewhat, yes, because I think he's talented. But you had mentioned before the show, Les, Denzel Ward. I don't know, man. I don't know what that was that he played on Sunday against the Titans, but it wasn't good.
It wasn't. He had a great start last year, opening game, and then got hurt, and That was,
They did.
that's not an automatic.
No, we wanted to say that it was, but he's got to bounce back. He's got to have a good second game here. Because here's the thing, Les. You lose. If you're the Browns, you lose against the Jets. We talked about this in the control room. Then you start saying, when's the first win coming? Because 3 and 4 are
the Rams
and at Ravens.
Ouch.
So this one
and then
is huge.
Then it's San
night.
Francisco. Then it's New England, right?
New England. So you go 0-2, you start wondering when you're going to get your first victory. You go 1-1, confidence is back, and all of a sudden games are winnable.
Right. Greedy Williams had 2 tackles in his Browns debut. Let's take a look at the most recent depth chart put out by the Browns today. It's the starters pretty much the same as last week, and you've got Baker Mayfield, of course, Chubb and Beckham, followed by Landry and Njoku and Harris.
Njoku, you got to catch the ball, pal.
Yeah, got to.
2 of them. Come on, let's go.
There you go. Kendall Lamb apparently is okay to play. Joel Bitonio, they switch him over for left guard, and Treader and Cush, as well as Chris Hubbard. And Wyatt Teller, you see on the bottom right, that's the one who was just picked up in that trade that was made last week. There you see the rest of it. And you're absolutely right. They need to show something this week.
Unless you see Chris Smith up there, your heart just breaks for him and his family, and his girlfriend killed the other day.
They just had a baby a couple of weeks ago.
Unspeakable, unthinkable, and I feel so bad for him and his family and his girlfriend's family, of course.
And I know you wanted to talk about Fred McLeod.
Yes. As we know, Freddie Mac passed away on Monday night, and we all knew him because he was such a gregarious guy, such a good guy, and he always made you feel important. I used to write game reports for Cleveland.com, Cavaliers game reports, and I would use the DVR. I needed to see replays, so therefore I parked myself in front of Fox Sports Ohio telecasts. And I often, would write and quote Freddie and AC. And so there were times where I would write one and I had quotes from Freddie and AC, and I would ask Freddie in a direct message on Twitter, hey, can you read this? Tell me what you think. And he always had positive things to say. I mean, so many stories have come out over the days, in the past few days about how many lives he affected and how he if you were a young journalist, he genuinely cared about what you were doing.
Right.
And
which is not always the case.
No, it isn't. And I feel sick because I'm thinking about, am I even close to the type of person that Fred McLeod was? And I feel like I'm not, So he was always good to me, always good to you, always good to really anybody that. And here was the thing about Freddie that was so great. He loved the Cavs. Okay, you could say homer, sure, but he was professional about how he did his job. Because sometimes Homer has that, it's almost like a pejorative, it's a negative.
He would also trash talk at the end of the game.
Sure. But here's the thing.
Good night, Miami.
Right. Sometimes you mistake the Homer for some guy who's just some slapstick up there, not doing anything. Fred McLeod was as prepared as anybody at what he did.
Absolutely.
All you had to do was look at his pregame notes.
Yep, you're absolutely
right.
I mean,
it's a terrible loss for the Cavs family, Beth McLeod, of course, and their children, and for all of us.
216-575-0403. If you've got something you'd like to add, you can do that. Northeast Factory Direct. 20 years in business. There are no gimmicks. There's no deceiving blowout sales, no typical retail nonsense. Just 3 huge bare-bone warehouses, and you're going to save half the regular price. And you're going to do it because Alex pays about 1/10 what the big stores pay for in rent, and he passes the savings on to you. So if you want some nice big-ticket items to improve your home and you want to pay half price or even more than that, all you have to do is go to Northeast Factory Direct at any of the 3 locations you see there, or first go to northeastfactorydirect.com. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Post time 6 p.m., and it's free admission, free parking every day. They open up early at noon for simulcast action all over the world. at Northfield Park. We'll come back. We'll find out what the New York Jets have planned for the Cleveland Browns when we get back with Dennis Manteloff. More sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on Cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
We had a horrible storm that flooded our basement.
We had to take out that nasty moldy carpet.
And we never want to have to go through that again. That's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of September and save up to half off. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
This portion of More Sports and Les Levine brought to you by Tri-C. Look at the birthdays today. Look at two of the great coaches of all time, Bear Bryant as well as Tom Landry. Dennis DePointment, 1947. Ellis Burks lives in Cleveland. Ed Reed, great defensive back, and Mike Moustakas, all born on the 11th of September. 216-575-0403. Time for a How Come Quickie. D-Man, answer this for me. How come there are offensive and defensive ends and offensive and defensive tackles, but there are no defensive centers? Can you answer that or not? You know, if you can't answer it, it's a legitimate How Come Quickie.
Good one.
When's your next gig on 1100 WTAM?
Tomorrow night, 5 hours, 7
Starting
to midnight.
7 to midnight?
Yes.
All right, then you can go listen to me the next morning on 92.3 The Fan. I'll be there Friday from 10 to 2. I'll be there Monday from 10 to 2, and I'll be there the following Friday.
There we go.
From 10 to 2.
That's the way it should be.
All right, the Jets played a game, and they should have won it. They had it in the bag, it seemed. Here's what they did, that stat-wise. And Buffalo with a 17-16 win over the Jets. Fourth quarter points, 14 for Buffalo, none for the Jets. And there you see the passing yardage and turnovers. 4 turnovers for the Buffalo Bills and 1 for the Jets. Penalties 7 and 8. He added up, the Browns had more than those two put together.
Yeah, that's not exactly a prescription for victory for the Bills. 4 turnovers on the road, but they stand down 16-3 in the fourth quarter.
Right.
But that's a bad loss if there is such a thing for the Jets. They're going to be desperate, just like Cleveland is. And the Jets will be thinking about last year on prime time Thursday night. They're going to want payback. So
they still want it for Joe Namath and Billy Andrews, right? The original game, Monday Night Football.
Let me say this, much like the Titans, Les,
yeah.
I think the Jets' defense, at least up front, needs to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
The Jets' front on defense is good.
Absolutely. All right, let's see what, if you're a Jets fan, let's see what you're looking at positively from last week. You've got the wide receiver out for the season with a neck injury, and they acquired Demaryius Thomas from the Patriots. Usually the Patriots don't trade within their own division. That's for a 6th-round pick. They got
that
kicking
didn't take
problems.
long on Mr. Vedvik,
no,
did it?
It didn't. In fact, the guy who kicked for Tennessee on Sunday actually tried out for the Browns on Friday.
Okay.
There you have it. And Sam Darnold was sent home from practice dealing with a strep throat.
I find that hard to believe that he's got strep throat and he's going to be available Monday, ready to go. Really?
Not at full strength.
Not my strep throat. That sacked me, pun intended, for a while.
Well, let's see what Sam Darnold did in the first game for the Jets. And 28 completions and 41 attempts, 175 yards and a touchdown. He was sacked 4 times in that game against Buffalo. Le'Veon Bell has joined the New York Jets. Look at him. First week versus Buffalo at the bottom, you see 17 carries and the yardage. And you
60
see
yards.
Also, they threw out of the backfield to him 6 times, 6 receptions in that game.
Yeah, I mean, Bell figures to be a big part of that offense no matter what. Darnold's numbers were pedestrian. And maybe some of that's the Bills' defense, but Darnold's got to be better, if the Jets want to go anywhere.
Could very well be. How about the stat, if you go 0-2, your odds of making the playoffs is not good at all?
No, it's in the teen percentage-wise. But, again, I'm not even talking about that as much as I am for this particular Browns team. You go 0-2, the doubt has crept in, and now you start to say, okay, when are we going to get our first victory?
You almost don't get to say, well, it's only one game, because one game becomes 2 games, becomes 3 games, who knows?
That's right.
However, they're not firing the coach.
No. I will say this, though. This bears watching as we go forward. It looked to me like Freddie Kitchens had too much on his plate in game 1.
Wasn't that my call about play calling and all for him?
It was. Now, you could say, well, what do you expect? It's his first game as an NFL head coach that mattered. Okay, give him a mulligan. But if you see it again against the Jets where he doesn't look comfortable, where the play calling is not quite as creative as it used to be, as it was last year, then you start to wonder, all right, is he going to think about offloading those plays? But we're not there yet.
No.
I'm just saying it bears watching.
No, but here's one of the problems. You went 7 deep on your offensive line because of the injuries and the ejection. You can't be the offensive coordinator. You got to take a look at the whole picture. You got to have somebody else calling the plays and you making the judgments on what you do at the line. Right?
Well, that's a great point, Les. When all that chaos was occurring on the line with Robinson and then the injuries, I think in a perfect world, you'd like Kitchens to be the overseer and be able to take that in and go, all right, here's what I'm thinking. Now I'm going to communicate it to Monken on the headset, or if he calls a play that I think is exposing our weakened offensive line, I'll simply overrule him. But when you have to do all that comes with being a head coach, and you saw Freddie getting wrapped up with the referees, with the penalties.
And yes, and by the way, when he did that, he lost a lot of seconds on the clock, which near the end of the half, he's got to call a timeout and get 2 extra plays in there.
Right, and you're saying, okay, if he's going to be preoccupied by the refs, and then he's got to think about what his defense is doing and what his special teams is doing, and oh, by the way, he's got to call plays. Yeah,
I'm not panicking because it's only one game, but that was something to look out for from day one. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can explore your interest with Tri-C and find a program that puts you on the path to a bright future. Tri-C offers more than 1,000 courses and over 140 career and technical programs. Go to tric.edu for more information. The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame opens its doors to 6 new members, including Urban Meyer. That'll be next Wednesday night. And 7:30 is the time for the dinner, but we'll be there from 6 to 7, broadcasting live. There you see the new inductees coming in, Otis Chapman, racquetball, John Malloy, hockey, Tony Miller in football and basketball, Tom Lucci in tennis, Urban Meyer football, and Rob Moss in golf. All great candidates, and we're looking forward to that. We'll broadcast it live. If you want tickets for the event, call 216-241-1919 or log on to admin@clevelandsportshall.com. Coming up, the Indians, pretty impressive. I don't care if Mike Trout is sitting or standing or playing. Pretty impressive the last 2 nights, and Plesac with a rookie shutout, pretty good, 8-0 Cleveland Indians. They wrap up the series tonight at 8 o'clock Cleveland time. Back in a moment to talk about that with Dennis Maniloff. More sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on Cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family cool this summer,
let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at 440-449-HEAT.
This day in sports history, September 11th, 1985, Pete Rose becomes the all-time hit leader, passing Ty Cobb with hit number 4,192. He came off Eric Chow of the San Diego Padres. Pretty impressive.
Single to left.
Yeah.
I remember Pete.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Zach Plesac pitches a complete game shutout last night at the Los Angeles Angels. Here you see it, 9 innings pitched, 4 hits given up, no earned runs, 5 strikeouts, a couple of walks. The last Indian rookie to pitch a no-hitter, or a complete game shutout, Jeremy Bowers, and he did it twice.
Sowers, remember him, the soft-tossing lefty?
Absolutely. There's no soft-tossing righties, though.
That's funny, there isn't. The crafty lefty, there's no
crafty
righty.
Yeah, I think that'll be tomorrow's How Come Quickie. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. So what do you think? I said in the opening comment, my commentary, that they're still in the hunt, believe it or not, because if they could get Minnesota to lose a game here tonight, and who do they have? Who are they playing?
Nationals.
The Nationals. Indians will play them later. But if Nationals can win that game, and they need that game themselves, if they can do that and the Indians win tonight, you go into the 3-game series at home, only 4 games out, you got a shot.
Incredible job by the Indians to hang in. I said before the show, they're like cockroaches. You just can't get rid of them.
Yeah, you brush them off, you spray them, you do whatever you can. Wild card standings look this way. The Indians involved with the Rays and the A's. Tampa Bay now plus a game and a half. Oakland is right there, and Cleveland is a half game behind. And in the loss column, the Indians trail by 2 against Tampa Bay and only 1 against Oakland. And Oakland has the easier schedule when it's all said and done, but they still have 2 games with Houston tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah, you would think Tampa would have the toughest schedule, but who knows?
Because the Yankees and the Red Sox?
Yeah, but the Red Sox look completely.
How about
like
that Dave Dombrowski let go after winning the pennant, winning the World Series last year?
He came in, got the job done, did what he was supposed to do.
You think Chernoff is a candidate?
Sure. Why not?
Yeah. It'd have to be. He'd have to be.
No, I hear you. Yeah, I agree.
We'll see how that works out. So that's the wild card standings. What do you think? Do they somehow win the division, or do they get the wild card, or do they go home?
I thought they were
cooked
after they got swept in Queens. By the Mets, and they figured it out. They've gotten back in it. Well, not back in it. They've been in it all the way as far as wild card goes. You're right. The division is not over because they still have 3 at home against Minnesota. It's incredible what this team does, pretty much year in and year out under Terry Francona.
Yeah, they start poorly in April, and they somehow get better.
This time it was 29-30 heading into July or June 3rd. And
you know, when they say it's a loss in April, it doesn't mean anything. If they had won a game they had lost, that's one game less they have to worry about right now.
Yeah, and I don't think, in fairness to the players, I don't think they throw games away early out of
not on purpose.
lack of caring or anything.
Right.
It's just we as fans or observers need to realize that those games count just as much.
So do you think they pull it out?
I was dodging you the first time. I'm going to say yes. I have penciled in the A's for one of those wild card spots because they're so hot, and they have been so hot, and they didn't play as difficult a schedule as Tampa. I'm going to say Oakland, Cleveland, as we sit here on September 11th. I got Oakland and Cleveland in the
Rays will
wild
be
card.
the team
the
out?
Rays falling out, and here's the thing. One of the reasons I'm saying it is because I think the Indians get a tremendous break in the final 3 games of the season. At Washington, the Nationals will have sewn up what they need to sew up. They won't get the Braves for the division, I don't think, but they will have locked up that first wild card. And as a result,
at Strasburg,
the Indians won't have to see Strasburg or Scherzer, and that will help them immensely in that series.
And
that's my guess.
Strasburg and Scherzer could still go against Minnesota, right?
I'm not sure how the pitching matchup is at this point. I didn't check.
You got to give. We're talking about giving credit to the Indians. You got to give credit to Minnesota also. They've fended off the Indians. They've become a power hitting team, and you think about it. The money that they put in on Mauer set them back 3 years, I would think, right?
Yeah, it was a cautionary tale to the quote-unquote mid-market, smaller budget teams. You don't want to dump a whole lot of coin into one guy. This offseason, they decided to spend money on multiple players, but didn't bankrupt themselves with one particular signing.
Right.
And it's paid off big, although some of the guys that you never saw coming, like Mitch Garver.
Never saw it.
Anybody see Mitch Garver hitting 30 bombs?
No.
I mean, so it'll be an interesting race to the home run title because both the Yankees and Twins, I think they're almost dead even, and they both they're setting the MLB record as they go.
I think the most interesting thing about what the Indians have done is that with the injury to Kluber, and for a while the injury to Mike Clevenger.
Yes.
They've developed 3 new starting pitchers right out of their own system, which they don't have to worry about it next year. They know who their starters are going to be for the most part.
Absolutely. I mean, if they wanted to even stop thinking about this year for a second, because we know they're focused on this year, but next year, okay, we got Zach Plesac, but I'm not necessarily in order. All right, in order. Clevenger 1, Bieber 2, let's say Plesac 3, Savale 4, and Pleco 5. That isn't even counting Carrasco or Kluber.
No question.
Okay, and I think Kluber can come back here on an option year.
No, I don't think there's any question.
He's got one more guaranteed year, I believe, next year.
Yeah.
And then
Northeast, this portion of More Sports and Les Levine brought to you by our friends at Northeast Factory Direct with 3 great locations. They've got them, you see them right there, West 140th Street, that's in Cleveland. Lakeland Boulevard, the old B&B Appliance, and the new one on Freeway Drive, that's in Macedonia. Or before all that, go to northeastfactorydirect.com for more information. It's not set up like a big retail store, and you're not paying for what you'd pay at the store. You're not paying for their rent, their decorations, their furnishings, or more on top of the furniture you buy. Not at Northeast Factory Direct, and more important, it's not a club, no membership fees. The people are great, the furniture is great, just a terrific place with 3 great locations, east, west, and south. Northeast Factory Direct. Sokolowski's University Inn, they only have 1 location, but it's good enough to win the James Beard Foundation Award. Located in Tremont, 5 minutes out of downtown. Established in 1923, making them Cleveland's oldest family-owned and operated restaurant. It's Mike and Bernie Sokolowski University Inn, open 11 to 3 Monday through Friday, and Friday and Saturday nights for dinner. When we get back, we'll check in on the Facebook question of the day. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on Cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature's Stone floor.
I had an epoxy-based sand paint on my floor that deteriorated, and that's why I called Nature Stone.
Why paint? It's expensive, it's ugly, and it doesn't last. Nature Stone is always affordable. It's beautiful, and with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your garage floor again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of September and save up to half off. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downton Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downton Casino.
Let's take a look at this date in sports history. I know this is just a sports show and try to have fun all the time, but we can't forget that. No matter what your political ideologies are, Les joins all Americans in remembering our heroes of 9/11.
Yeah, we all remember where we were when it went down. I can't even imagine the horror. Here's the thing. One of my closest friends, Bob Mazzoni, was vacationing in New York that day, and he was in a hotel. I had talked to him the night before, but I didn't know the hotel. He had called me, and I wasn't sure exactly where he was staying. This happens, and I'm in a complete panic because I don't know anybody other than him in Manhattan. So I'm calling, and of course, you can't get through. There's no ability to reach anybody. At least I couldn't. We tried the hotel, the number, and it was busy. And so it was a full, almost a day where I couldn't get a hold of him. And that's just me worried about a guy. And he turned out he was 45th or something. So he was okay. That's just me worried about one guy in the middle of town who's not affected. I can't imagine what all the families who were affected went through. And here's the other thing. The images of the firefighters and the law enforcement personnel rushing into harm's way.
You didn't see them turning around.
We know they're never going to come out, a lot of them. They probably in the back of their minds know that this could be catastrophic and they may die. But guess what?
They didn't turn around.
They're doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you have so much awe for what all the first responders did, but then of course it's overwhelming sorrow for the tragedy that unfolded.
No question about it. And you forget, forget about the Pentagon, you forget about in the farm area in Pennsylvania.
Shanksville, yeah.
Yeah, incredible. You know what? You got it. If you have kids who are younger than 19, it's 19 years, or 18 or 19, whatever it is, you got to show them what happened. You got to find something on TV that gives you the whole story. I'm sure we will at the 20th anniversary, but these young people need to know what happened.
That's exactly right, Les. And, when you think about Flight 93, the passengers rushed the cockpit and they forced the terrorists to...
They also knew they were going down and not coming back.
Well, that was the thing. The earlier planes, 1177 and 175, didn't really know what was happening, but by the time 93 had been hijacked, the families were telling the people on the plane, hey, it looks like they're going to run it into a building. And as it turned out, that plane was destined for either the Capitol or the White House.
Just unthinkable, no question about it. Now we turn back to sports. Facebook question of the day. We had a good question. If you Indians win the wild card, who would you rather face, the Rays or the A's? And we take a look at some of the responses. Dennis Davis says, I'd rather face Detroit. That's just not an option, though.
I like Dennis Davis.
I'll take Tampa Bay. I think it's a slightly better matchup, slightly. Gregory Mees says, it doesn't make any difference. We'll have an edge when Kluber starts that first game. Ha ha. Wayne Richard Lyons says, one game and they say crapshoot. Well, don't care who they face, but it would be good to be at home. More interested if it happens, who gets the start. We'll talk about that in a minute. Carl St. John says, doesn't matter, they're going to lose anyway. If not, they'll lose in the division series.
Thanks, Carl.
Anyway,
womp womp.
I'll tell you why I don't like reading that. Because they will not be favored. They'll be the last team on the list as far as Vegas is concerned. But if you're a young player, the experience of playing in the playoffs versus sitting home and playing golf, the experience, you can't get that experience anywhere else.
100%. As you said in your opener so eloquently, much rather have a team relevant, knocking on the door, getting in. Think about the Braves of the 90s. We don't like to think about them because they denied us the World Series in 95.
The only one
Turned
they
out to
won.
be the only one, but here's the thing. That's my point. 14, I believe it was, consecutive division titles.
Right.
One World Series title. Are you going to tell the Braves, hey, it wasn't worth it to be 14-time division champ?
Come on, it's a lot of fun as a fan. No question about it. By the way, Steven Strasburg pitches tonight against Minnesota.
Good news.
We got a shot there. All
Good
right.
news.
216-575-0403. We're going to come back one more time. Northfield Park, your home for live and simulcast racing. You can get that racing at 6 p.m. with the post time. That's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday night. And they open early at noon for simulcast action from all over the world. Northfield Park, free admission, free parking every day. Dennis Maniloff and I return in a moment. D-Man will be on WTAM tomorrow. I'll be on 92.3 The Fan Friday, Monday, and Friday of next week. We'll talk about Game 2, I think, of the Cleveland Browns schedule. Let's take a break. We'll come on back in a moment. Exclusively brought to you by our friends at Cleveland.com.
No other company or product can match the features, benefits, and warranty of an authentic Nature Stone floor.
We had a horrible storm that flooded our basement.
We had to take out that nasty moldy carpet.
And we never want to have to go through that again. That's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. Get Nature Stone installed by the end of September and save up to half off. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor, wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Dan Lobby tomorrow night. He's the one on the left, not the right.
Jobs.
Does a great job with Cleveland.com and, of course, the Plain Dealer. He'll join us. We do this live from 6 until 7, Monday through Friday, and it's replayed all day, all night. You can archive it, and you can also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/More Sports with Les Levine, with new content posted each and every day. And we also have the voicemail of Truth and Reason. You want to comment? 216-200-6650. 216-200-6650. Call anytime. and we'll put your calls on the air on More Sports and Les Levine. All right, time to take a look at some emails. We got a question first before we look at the How Come Quickies. Les, this is from Ray and Euclid. Les and D-Man, what are your opinions of the game on YouTube last night? Until I fell asleep, I thought the production was done well. Tommy and the others provided different insights than what we get from Manning and Underwood. One thing I noticed is there's no commercials.
Yeah, I followed this one on the radio and also on my phone.
Right.
So I can't really comment on that, but I was hearing from the Twitterverse that this YouTube version was better. Edition was better than the previous.
It was better. The problem is, and I was watching it on my phone for the most part in bed, and then your phone goes out.
Yeah.
You know,
But
I'm old.
Shoot, if the Indians are going to do what they did last night, play on YouTube every day.
8-0 shutout, Zach Plesac.
You see Puig, Les, how he gets plunked twice and gives the old stare down.
I didn't see
to that has-been left-hander, whatever. That nondescript lefty's trying to be a hard butt with Puig. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Would you make an offer for Puig next year? A one-year deal?
I mean, it would be.
I mean, would you think he's getting a 3-year deal?
It'd be on my terms, 1+1. You know, 1 plus an option. But I don't think he takes it.
I don't think anybody's going to bid high for him.
I think he gets a 2-year deal with a third year for an option. I think that'll be too rich for Cleveland's blood.
Mr. Gullible checks in tonight with a couple of How Come Quickies. How come I burned 2,000 calories when I took a nap and forgot the brownies in the oven? I burned up 2,000 calories.
That's excellent.
All right, what do you give him?
I had 8.5.
8.5 is pretty good. How come eBay is so useless to me? Because I tried to order a lighter, and all they had were 3,000 matches. They tell you how many matches they have. Mr. Gullible, that is so stupid that it's excellent. And Mike and John Patrick is a little concerned. He was out of town last night. He missed the sending in a How Come Quickie. He felt very bad. He doesn't have to apologize to me, but he did, and he sent a make good. He's got 2 How Come Quickies here. How come the man who invented lifesavers made a mint?
That's good.
Yeah. How come
7.5.
How come celebrities work hard to become famous, then they wear dark glasses to avoid being recognized?
I like that.
A lot of thought put into it, no question. He felt guilty. He came up with two today. He invented the doubleheader one a couple of months ago. All right, let's chat for a couple of minutes.
No.
Jets and Browns on Sunday. What do you look for?
Yeah.
Or Monday, I'm sorry, Monday.
Again, I'm calling them desperate teams. I know the Jets' expectations, the expectations on the outside for the Jets weren't that great. So you say, well, why would the Jets be desperate? Because they're supposed to lose? That's not what they think. They think this is a winnable game.
Yeah, and they're not supposed, and they're coming off a game they should have won.
And this is the Greg Williams Bowl. Greg Williams will be itching to get after the Browns. And I'm sure he'll say all the right things publicly, but privately he'll have his team whipped into a frenzy to get after Mayfield, and he'll want to hurt the Browns for, letting him go.
However,
why not?
He knows all the tendencies of Baker Mayfield.
Yes.
On the other hand, if they rush all the time, he knows Baker can beat him.
Yeah, I think I was reading or listening to a scouting report. Bull had a guy from the New York Daily News talking about how the Jets have the good front defensively, but their backs aren't always the greatest.
Right.
So they have to get pressure on Mayfield to be effective.
Well,
you would think that would be the case for anybody.
Yeah.
But the Jets, especially so, because their corners aren't elite-level corners.
It's easy to overstate what happened here, or it's easy to assume we'll never win another game again. But what was good for you, or what did you see anything that said, okay, I'm okay with that?
I hate to say it. Well, let me start with a really significant player. Nick Chubb was all right to me.
Yeah.
I didn't see him doing anything glaring.
Beckham was pretty good.
Beckham was all right. But the guys that stood out to me, unfortunately, were 2 special teamers, Dontrell Hilliard and Jamie Gillan, Scottish Hammer.
Yeah, I just worry about holding for place kicks.
You didn't think that was a problem on that extra point, did you?
No,
that
I think
got
he
the
just
laces
he
wrong?
just missed it.
Yeah, I do too.
For an extra point, you get the laces wrong. That shouldn't affect you. The laces wrong should affect you if it's a long kick with
Right.
wind involved and
But it is
game
far
on
enough
the
out
line.
now that you wonder. But listen, I thought Gillen had, he semi-shanked the first punt, got a break because it was, what, 18 yards
Then he
a
had
roll.
4 decent punts after
But
that.
listen, when your final stat line is 5 punts, 46-3 gross, 46-3 net, 0 return yards, 3 inside the 20.
Yeah, you would think the tendency
For a rookie, for a first game of his NFL career.
Yeah, you would think he's tried to blast it as far as he can. It turned out he got 3 inside the 20, and that's pretty good.
That's pretty
to do.
darn good to me.
Okay.
And I thought Hilliard was on his way to a nice game until the concussion or the concussion symptoms, because he had a catch, he had the touchdown run,
yes,
and he had a nice punt return and a couple of nice kickoff returns.
Do you think that Baker got frustrated in what he saw, and might attribute himself to any one of the 3 interceptions?
Yeah, I think Baker knew full well that the Titans are a legitimate defense. That was number 1. Number 2, he knew their DBs play very sound, and he knew he couldn't get away with things he could get away with against other teams. So maybe he was a little more hesitant to try to fit the ball into a window. The first pick is a great read by, was it Byard, I believe it was, but he drops into the lane and snatch catches it.
Right.
That's one where Mayfield's like, man, I thought I had that. And I was throwing a little bit behind the intended receiver, but you don't anticipate a player jumping in front of that.
No, but do you attribute anything? I know this affected the crowd, which doesn't necessarily affect the team. When the extra point was missed after the drive where you went right down the field and missed the extra point, it seemed to take the air out of the crowd.
There's no doubt in my mind, Les, the psychological impact of that miss is enormous. Nobody wants to hear it, and I'm not saying as an excuse. Nobody wants to hear you say an extra point cost you the game in a 43-13. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
What I'm saying is there's a world of difference between 7-0 and 6-0.
Yeah, I felt it in the crowd. I was out in the crowd at the time instead of the press box, and you just felt the wave of, I don't know how to describe it. It just changed.
Well, and players on the team that just took the lead, they say to themselves, all right, 2 field goals tie us, a touchdown and an extra point takes the lead on us, instead of that 7 where you say, we got the lead at for sure, or no worse than tied.
Right.
Now all of a sudden, 2 field goals can tie us. That goes through your head.
I don't even think they're thinking about the numbers. I'm just thinking they're thinking about the kicker himself, that they went through 6 weeks of training and a couple of exhibition games, and Seifert only had, there was that one in the last week when he made 4 field goals in the game. That, I don't know. It seems to me the players were thinking about that.
Well,
and the players are thinking, I don't want to bust my tail here game in and game out and find out I lose a game because the guy can't kick.
Yeah, and again, we're not making excuses for the bad performances by the offense or
No,
the
not at
defense.
all.
But yeah, you could also think, all right, what happens in Kitchens' mind? Kitchens is going, that's what my kicker did in his very first extra point. Now, do I trust him late? If it got there, if it was a close game, do I trust him late?
I may have to punt instead. I may have to go for it. That's
Didn't come
exactly
down to that, but what if it had?
It could have. All right, great job by the D-man, Dennis Maniloff. Listen to him on WTAM tomorrow from when to when?
7 to midnight.
7 to midnight. I'll be on 92.3 The Fan from 10 to 2. That'll be on Friday and Monday and next Friday. We'll see you tomorrow. Dan Lobby with us. We'll talk Browns football. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.